Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to another educative edition of our online leadership and personal development conversation series. I remain Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host for Connect with Comfort show. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business enterprise and personal growth. On each show, we organize, we feature special guests who are usually subject matter experts that helps us to share more insight on the topic of the day. Once again, you are most welcome to join us for this important conversation. Today, we are talking about a subject that sounds simple but actually profound. And the topic is what successful people unlearn. Now, when we talk about success, the conversation usually focuses on what successful people know, what books they read, what skills they have acquired, what habits have they developed, who do they know, what strategies do they use. But today, we are looking at the other side of the equation. What have successful people had to let go of? Because as we grow, some beliefs that once served us can eventually become limitations. The mindset that helped you survive may not be the mindset that will help you to thrive. The habits that helped you build what you have currently may not be the habits that will help you to lead. And sometimes the greatest evidence of maturity is not what you have learned, but what you have become courageous enough to unlearn. So today's conversation is about assumptions, habits, beliefs, and behaviors that may have been useful at one stage of our journey, but may no longer serve us at another. And I believe this is going to be a conversation worth having. We already have our special guest in the house that will help us to unpack this profound subject. We will be meeting him shortly after this time out. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Being relevant in your field of occupation is proof that you are properly educated. When my parents and I were thinking about my university education, Bowen University Iwo was our first choice. Bowen University helps you to get the most of whatever course you're studying and also educates you on how to excel in a competitive labor market. From the day I arrived here, I knew when I would graduate, and my mind has been positively transformed since then, thanks to my able lecturers. My name is Salome. I am a medical student, a sanctuary keeper, and a violinist at Bowen University. To the medical world, remember my name.
Bowen University, for excellence and godliness.
You are welcome back. Joining me today is Abdurrahim Oreagba. Abdurrahim Oreagba is a respected Nigerian. He inspires and transforms lives positively. He believes everything is possible if you believe. He is a visionary and a force to collaborate with while looking out for the greater good. Rahim takes the path that is less traveled by many. His strength articulates the possibilities of what is not seen and helps people create it. He is an executive advanced interrogative life coach, business and management consultant, a public keynote speaker, and a training facilitator. He has worked with top telecoms companies for over 2 decades. He is currently a senior commercial manager in the Northeast with Globacom Nigeria. His signature communities include, but not limited to, the exclusive mentorship program called TEM, Intellectual Tussle and TEM Tribe on Clubhouse. Embrace yourself every day, EYE. He is a life learner. He has membership of CIMCN, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Coaching and Mentoring in Nigeria, IMC. He is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, LCAN. He is a member of the Life Coaching Association of Nigeria, ARCON. He is a member of Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, DTM. He is a member of Distinguished Toastmaster from TI. He plays basketball, loves karate, and he is a family man. What a rounded personality. Please join me in welcoming our special guest for today's show, Abdurrahim Oreagba. We are highly delighted to have you on Connect with Comfort show and we welcome you warmly. Thank you very much for accepting to do this for us.
Thank you very much, Mo. It's a pleasure to be here and it's a pleasure to connect with comfort. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you very much. So, without much ado, we'll go straight to our conversation. And let me begin with what may be the simple question of the day, but perhaps one of the most difficult to answer. And that is, when you hear the phrase successful people unlearn, what immediately comes to your mind?
Well, thank you very much, Mo. It's a pleasure to be here and I love the introduction. Now, the question is quite interesting, starting with a phrase successful people unlearn. What I'd like to start with is let's unpack this phrase itself, which is successful people is almost oxymoronic, if I put it that way. You have successful, they have unlearn in the same sentence. You'll be wondering how the successful people unlearn at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But the first thing is for success and so on, people are successful depending on if they can achieve the goals they've set for themselves progressively. So once they meet the goals, they achieve the results, the outcomes come forth, then they consider themselves successful depending on what area they are in. Could be work, family, games, depends on what makes them comfortable. I want to talk about unlearning. It's a different unpack on its own, which is you learn to acquire knowledge, to acquire experiences, to become a better individual and a better person. Then over time, it becomes who you are. Do you renew that knowledge or do you maintain the old knowledge you have? So guess over time, knowledge you have now becomes still in the sense that you go to secondary school, you go to university, you start work. Would you still be operating on the same knowledge you had pre-university, in university? Everything changes. So in that regard, you need to unlearn what you have learned and then apply what is applicable in the present. So when they say successful people unlearn, what it just simply means, or rather how I like to define it is you've gotten to a level of your career and in society where you now realize that what you have learned in the past is not particularly reference or in tune with what is applicable today. So you need to start unlearning it. So successful people have hacked it in the sense that they know that for them to sustain their success, they need to unlearn what is not working for them to meet their goals, attain their goals, and live in their outcomes progressively and consistently. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Thank you very much. And maybe in addition, what needs to take them beyond where they are presently. So that is a good explanation of the topic. So, with that, why do you think we talk so much about learning, acquiring knowledge, but less about unlearning? Having described it so well, why are we not focusing about unlearning?
First off, let's say it's human nature. All right. As you advance in life, you want to add more stars to your shoulder, if I put it that way. You come out of nursery, you go to primary school. For those that want to go to the educational route, you get to primary school, you get to secondary school, you keep learning. You go to university, you keep learning. You want to go for your master's, you keep learning. You want to go for your PhD, you keep learning. You want to go for your professor. What's it called? You want to get to be a professor, right? You keep learning.
Professor, yeah.
Thank you, your professional route. You want to keep learning, but the thing is this, right? If you go through that route, does it ever stop? Does it ever stop? Is that thirst? Same thing with the apprentice that wants to get a job. He starts probably at age 5, 10, as the case may be. He works with his master. for maybe another 6 years or 7 years or 10 years. So he could get his own freedom where he'll get some money to start his own business. For the businessman too, the same thing applies. He starts his business, starts a little, he keeps growing and growing and growing. But the question now comes back to us. Why do we keep acquiring that knowledge? Why is it that that knowledge is never satisfied? As individuals, right, we have the inbuilt, let me put it, competitive spirit in us. You keep competing with the next person. You want to be better than the next person. You want to improve in what you're doing. So that thirst keeps going on and going on and going on. And you keep leveraging on it. Because by the time you make the next, let's assume you get the next deal, it works out. You want to learn some more. You get the next, you pass the next exam. You want to get some more. You want to learn some more.
Please,
You
please,
get the next promotion. Okay, they get the next promotion. You want to learn some more. The question is, when does it ever stop? It doesn't stop. For the successful people, it keeps going on and going on. So that's insatiable appetite is, I want to believe, it's human. It's in our DNA to keep learning, and we keep learning and learning. But at one point in time, once the maturity comes in and your cup starts getting full, so to say, if it ever gets full, it tends to start slowing down and taking things easy. And that's when wisdom comes into play. So thank you very much. Hope that works.
it does. So the wisdom is now to make us to examine what has worked in the past, but probably will not work today or in the future. Those are those
Exactly.
things that we now start on learning.
Thank you
So,
very much.
and like you said it very well, that is because of our insatiable desire for knowledge and the competitive edge. We are not actually focusing on the on learning part, but this program is letting us know that there is that unlearning part because it's essentially part of life. As we grow older, as we get higher with wisdom, with knowledge, there are some old stuff, beliefs that we've had that will no longer carry us into this present day activity or our aspiration for the future. Thank you very much.
If I may
So I
just add
think
one
that
more
is
part to it, let me
sure.
just add this part to it, which is the unlearning part. And part of the reasons why people don't like going into the unlearning aspect of it is the sense of, you might call it entitlement, and at the same time, you feel that you know too much. So when they see unlearn, the fact they have unlearn, it almost seems like they're diminishing what they have learned, rather than
Yes,
taking it as progress, we take it as diminishing. So they don't want to hear it because it sounds negative. But wisdom comes into play, right? And lets you know that once a cup is full, no matter how much water you pour into it, it will just be pouring out. You need to pour the water so that
flow.
more wisdom, purity can come into it.
Yeah, you are
Yes.
correct. Actually, in practical day, when you hear successful people to unlearn, some people will say something that has worked for me to get me up here. Why should I stop doing it? Why
Very
should I
true.
stop
Very,
doing
very
it?
true.
So
You know,
there is a wisdom in looking and doing self audit and looking at some. There are some things that will not work again. That is the truth.
very
It's the
true.
truth of our life. So that those are the aspects that we are just calling attention to. Yes, these things have worked very well, upskilled you, and then you got into a high stage. But it's not everything, and we're not saying unlearn everything too. But it's not everything that needs to be unlearned. But there are some elements that needs to be unlearned so that you can move forward and be more current. Thank you very
Yes.
much. What are some beliefs about success that people commonly adopt early in their career or businesses that they eventually need to reconsider?
That's interesting. Let's see, let's put it from the perspective of beliefs first, right? When before we talk about what they can what they adopt, that makes them successful, right? Beliefs on its own first. Let's say that it's good to understand how it applies. Where it is beliefs are things that you just accept as true, as fundamental, as right, regardless of the outcome. That is your belief. That's what you stand for, right? Example, anything you throw up will come down. You jump from a high story building, you fall down, and if you feel you land properly, you can go and try it. All right. So those are your beliefs. Whatever works for you, you work. Then secondly, you need to understand how that helps you in your career progression. If you believe that you're going to be successful, you'll forever be successful. But if you don't believe that you're going to be successful, you can't be successful because it all starts in the mind. So whether it's in your career or business, they work hand in hand. So your belief has to be very strong. So when you now talk about things that you need to reconsider, you know, considering the present day and age, let's come to day one, right? In let's say in the let's say earlier times, let's put it that way, in the 1800s, thereabout, people worked hard. Why were they working hard? They go
Do you
to the
want to
farm.
do you want to say 1900? 1800 is ancient.
Yes. I just want to take us back so that the viewers can also relate. I don't want to go back to the BC, time of the BC, right?
That's why
So,
I'm saying let's come nearer home to
so
1900 instead of
1900,
1800.
exactly. So believe we believe in hard work. Hard work. You go to the farm. You had to exert physical energy to get work done. We had hunters. We had farmers. We had laborers. We built with our hands, and everything was done manually and physically. Right. So we're working very hard. Today, today, we don't talk about hard work. We talk about smart work. And when we talk about smart work, what you will do, or rather what we are doing right now, could have never been fathomable in the 1900s. Even in the early 1900s, it was never fathomable. I'll be talking from my location. I'll be talking from your location over a device. It would be like black magic. Now,
White
in this day
magic.
and age, exactly, white magic. Let me put it that way, right? Oh yes, white magic. I like that. Then now come to this day, and people need to unlearn that how you have done things in the past using the typewriter is not the same way you do it when you're using your laptop. Because right now, AI has stepped into it, artificial intelligence has stepped into it to make your work more efficient. So if you decide that you want to stick with your beliefs that because that's been working in 1965, it worked in 1990, it worked in year 2000, you now come to 2026 or 2027 and the future, and you want to use the same mentality, it will not work for you. So we need to start considering how we think, how we approach work, how we approach life, how we approach business, and how we approach our family. Because another good thing is this: how we were raised during our time. And with due respect, ma, how you were raised during your time. It's not the way we
Thank,
raise our grandchildren
thank you.
going
We are one
forward.
of the ancients.
We cannot raise our children in this day and age the way all of us were raised in the past. We'll break them. They will not survive. So things we need to reconsider is how we are thinking, about being successful in our career and our business. Thank you very much, man.
Very correct. Thank you very much. And that's good example of a typewriter and what obtains today when you can even speak to your device and it transcribe what you have spoken into typed words. So
And I
what
did
can
it
be
for you too.
smarter? Yeah, and I did it. And what can be smarter than that? So this is
Oh
a
yeah.
typical good example of what we're talking about. It's still about success because it makes you more efficient, achieve more, much more. And like the example you gave of the whole working with whole tilling ground, how much can you do in a day even with all that physical energy? But when you have a tractor coming to do acres, when you are still managing on one plot of land for 1 week, acres done in maybe less than an hour, you cannot match the productivity and efficiency of that. So those are the type of
Oh,
things that we are talking about in Unlearning. So let's give a little more, let's get a little practical now. There are certain messages many of us grew up hearing. Like you have said, work harder, do everything yourself, never say no, always be available, don't make mistakes, keep everyone happy. But sometimes those messages can become heavy luggages for us. So let us explore some of them. Do successful people eventually have to unlearn the belief that working harder automatically produces better results?
Okay. I think
I think
I've,
we've
I've
already
spoken about this already.
about
Yes, but
about it yet.
I'll just add a little on it. You give a very good example, which is how agriculture was being done in the past versus right now, using manpower versus how we use mechanized farming today.
Yes.
What we're talking about is that is hard work going to the farm. Today, it is more productive work using machinery. And the interesting part is each crop, even in the farm, you now have specialized machines that will take care of it. So it's not about working harder because it doesn't work, it doesn't help. It's not working smarter. So when we want to do the hard work, you can sweat. It's almost the same thing as when we have people busy doing nothing,
Mhm,
like running on a treadmill in the same sport, but you're not gaining traction. So,
mhm.
or you put the rat on the wheel. It keeps running on the same spot, but it's
Yeah,
not gaining traction. So the thing is this: how do you use your time effectively,
yeah.
such that the time is actually being productive versus working hard and you're tiring yourself or wearing yourself out, but not giving productive results that are actually valid and measurable. So
I
since I've
think that can. Okay, go ahead.
it's all right. Sorry, I'm good. I'm done.
Okay. I think that also speaks to our next question, talking about doing everything yourself, which is one of the points I raised in the myth, so to say, of what we believe in the past. So this is the same thing that works on that when we say, okay, do everything yourself. When you are now embracing technology and all that, definitely doing it yourself is not wisdom. Those are things that you need to unlearn because you can achieve much more. I mean, when you deploy AI, for instance, you know how fast you can go on routine issues. So even if you put an army of people on that task, they are never going to be a match. So I think that question is taken by that example you gave. Thank you very much. So many high achievers struggle to delegate because they believe nobody can do it as well as they can. What needs to be unlearned here?
I love this question. I love this question. And this speaks to leadership and it speaks to
Yeah.
productivity as well as quality.
Mhm.
When people say they do things by themselves, just by themselves, no man is an island. Even when
Yeah.
God created, he created man and woman. So you can't do it by yourself. The person that wants to do it by himself, he was not created by himself, right?
Mm.
And then you now come to work. When you come to work or you want to get your job done, you can't do it by yourself. Anytime I hear this mentality of nobody can do it like me, the first question I try to find out or I try to ask is before you, who has done it? And then when you go,
After you.
somebody else will, after you're done in this world, somebody else will still do it. So when you say nobody else can do it, it comes from a place of, I think, like low self esteem, low self confidence, or rather low self awareness. Because if you're very aware of your individuality and your personality, you will know very well that in the same space where you believe nobody else can do it by yourself, what are you using? What tools, right? Your laptop, is it yours? Did you make it? Did you manufacture it from scratch? The software is operating on, did you manufacture it from scratch? The books that you are reading, the pen that you are using, the tool that you are using, did you manufacture it from scratch? And then let's assume you use all these things to produce the finished product. Are you going to buy it and consume it yourself? You still need people. And at one point in time, you are human beings. You will break down. You will break down. You will need some time out. You will get burnout. At that point in time, then what happens? Will you still come back and say nobody else can do it? And in some cases, some people hide behind the lack of competence or capability that nobody can do like me in order to hide their incompetence and their deficiency because they'll be cutting corners. So they don't want anybody to come and see what's happening. But if you've noticed in some organizations, when they do the general rotations, you just realize that there's actually been a gap that this individual has been covering that nobody has actually seen because he has been there for too long. So in essence, what are we saying? When I hear nobody can do it like me, I'm the only one that can do it. There's a challenge. We need to check the background. We need to check the upbringing. We need to check the environment, how this particular individual has actually become who he is. Because the whole idea of humanity is moving together. You can't do it by yourself. So anytime we have such people, they actually need to go back. They need to get coaching, they need to get training, and they need to get proper exposure, so that it doesn't become a problem in the future. It's the same thing as saying yes and no, but I'll leave that for you.
Thank you very much. It is well said. If you just have a flip of what you are saying, God forbid, but it does happen. We say that a lot, God forbid. It was part of life. Should you break down now, they don't even die. You are incapacitated, like illness that has to put you on bed, and you have to have a bed rest. Life continues.
Oh,
Life
yes.
continues. So
And quickly,
that's just a typical example. And then if you now go to the extreme of thinking of the permanent one, which is death, life does not stop. So if you look at it that way, then we should quickly get out of that mindset that nobody can do it like me. If they do it and falter and make mistakes, they get up and still do it and get better at it, just like you did. So that's something, like you rightly said, at the doorstep of leaders, managers. We have to learn that it's a common thing with leaders. They always believe that, oh, they are the best thing that happened to Mother Earth, but you need to wake up and smell the coffee.
while you're
Thank
smelling
you.
the coffee, I also like to add this part for leaders. Because some leaders, they smell the coffee, right? So they smell the coffee, they know it's coming, they don't want to taste it. But I also like to add one major thing, which also distinguishes great leaders from people that assume they're leaders.
Yeah,
If your organization and your business can run in your absence, then you have succeeded as a leader.
definitely,
But
definitely.
if you
You have
can't
successors.
leave your
Yes,
yes, but if you can't leave your business for it to run, you're not a leader. You're
without
still a
you. Yes,
manager. You're still an employee. So the moment you
yes.
can migrate or elevate or graduate into that level of leadership whereby you're not afraid of leaving your position, you can go and leave and somebody else will take over and nobody will know that there's a difference, then you have attained the level of leadership.
Fantastic. That is very true and correct. And that's common saying about having, you have not succeeded until you have successors. So
Oh, yes.
it's the successors that carry things on in your absence, and that shows there's continuity for that business. There's continuity for what you are doing, and that's when you can really beat your chest that you have achieved. Thank you
Oh,
for
yes.
putting that in. Now, do successful people need to unlearn the desire to be liked by everyone?
Wow. I like you, I don't like you. I don't like you, I like you. Has caused a lot of trouble.
I know, I know.
That's caused a lot of trouble. But the crazy part is this, right? If somebody does not like you, does it affect your personality or who you are? And if somebody likes you today, does it affect your personality or who you are? I'll flip that in a different regard. You have people that will tell, oh, I like you, I love everything you do, right? The moment you have dropped the name tag, you'll be amazed how many people will call you and talk to you. You are the CEO, the chief executive officer of an organization. You have a lot of fan base, you're well respected. The moment you are sacked, I'm not even saying you resign, the moment you are sacked, guess what happens? You think anybody will like you again?
It becomes like a leper. Nobody wants to touch
Very
you.
much. Nobody wants to touch you, nobody wants to come close to you, and it's incredible. Or let's put it this way. You're putting a lot of, let's go back to social media. Let's try social media, right? You put a lot of posts because you want likes, 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 likes. And you're doing it and you're seeing it. The moment you write something, and because you're putting a lot, because you want people to like you keep doing different things. When do you stop acting for the crowd and start being yourself?
Mm.
You keep doing things that you should not do because you want people to like you. But the moment you get a level of self-awareness and you realize that you can go left and people will still like you and they'll still love you and they'll still do whatever it is that they want to do, regardless of how you feel, then you have gotten to another level of humanity, right? It's amazing when I hear this, that people do things because they want people to like them. You can never live fully. You want to wear your traditional attire, but because you wonder what people will say about you, you rather wear a formal attire and you'll be very uncomfortable. You want to wear low heels
Sweating like
because
a
they are
beast.
comfortable. Thank you. You now wear stilettos and you cannot walk in the stilettos.
Uh, look at
You
it.
know, you have an Android phone. You say, no, you want to use an Apple. The moment you get it, instantly you see that the software is different. And you're now wondering, you're struggling. How do you do it? You, there's one thing, right? Knowing yourself. Another thing is creating an image of the future that's already been creating an image for people. So at the end of the day, and I'll ask this very clearly, do you want to be liked to live a double personality? Or do you want to be original in who you are, such that wherever you are, whatever you do is known across? Or you're known for telling the truth. You will not pander the words because you want somebody to say something good about you. You rather say that as it is, so that that way, for longevity, you live a life of purpose. So please, everybody, right? Don't do anything to be liked. Don't be bothered whether they like you or not. Ask yourself what you're doing, is it right and is it good for humanity? If it is, feel free. But if it's not good for humanity, don't bother about it being right. Resign and let it go. There's this comedian, try to remember his name. He turned down the $50 million deal because a lot of things went against what he believed, and they couldn't understand it. Today, he's very, very revered and respected. So please, let's not look for likes. Let's look for originality. Thank you.
Fantastic. Being yourself. And at the end of the day, anyway, it is difficult to please everybody.
Oh, yes.
And you don't really want
Definitely.
to please everybody and displease yourself. So where do you hang in the balance? So it's important, from what our guests have said, be yourself. Originality means being yourself. Only aspire to do what is right, but unfortunately, sometimes what is right may not please everybody. It depends on the mindset. So
Very
you keep
true.
being
Very true.
yourself is more important than wanting to please everyone, which you will end up failing at anyway. Because
Eventually,
I don't know anybody who has been successful in pleasing everybody.
you can't do it.
It
You can't do
it's
it.
not it's not possible. So that is one typical thing and very, very practical that resonates with all of us, that we can learn, that this is one thing we must unlearn as we go into our journey of success. So thank you very much, Rahim, for that. Now, what should people unlearn about failure? There are so many things we've heard about failure rather than just the name. So let me not go into describing failure, but what should people unlearn about failure?
I love this too. This is a very lovely one, and I love the concept and the idea behind learning a negative. Failure, when people hear failure, they think about a negative. And let's take back to, what we just discussed about people liking you. You do things for people to like you because you're afraid of failing. Then you go so far down the line, you forget that you have gone in a negative direction. and you're afraid to fail at that point in time. But when you look at the failure as a word, remember it's an emotion, it's an experience, it's an endpoint. But is it you? No. It's just an event. It just happened. And because of the choice of words, somebody says it's a failure, but is it actually a failure? I actually use how I define it is a learning point, a point of reference. So rather than say I have failed, I just say I have learned, right? And what have I learned? How not to do it that way. So until you create a positive relationship with failure, you will not grow. So let us remove the negativity from failure and appreciate it. When somebody says, "Oh, this is wrong. You have done this wrong. How could you do that? What's wrong with you?" So, "Oh, thank you very much. Can you show me better ways of doing it?" Instantly it changes. But the moment
Yes,
your ego, when your ego wears, a blazer, then the ego carries Baba again and puts on top of himself. Then now goes again and carries umbrella. You will never understand the difference. But first off, before your ego ties gilly, or wears a hijab, you should tell the ego, it is not me that failed though. It was the habit, it was the event,
an
it
event.
was the circumstance that happened. It is not me, it doesn't deplete me. For example, let's look at the best in the world, right? Usain Bolt. He did not become the fastest athlete overnight. He must have failed and failed and failed and he tried. Michael Jordan, he did not become the best basketballer. Yes, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. you know, he did not become who he is overnight. He shot a lot, he missed a lot of baskets. But who is he today? He learned from it. Same thing in all professions, engineers, doctors, accountants, and more. I'm sure you have such experiences with people you have mentored. They are not failures. They have made mistakes, but they learned from it and became better. So the moment we create a relationship of learning and unlearning with failure, we'll just realize that it is not part of us. It is just an event that happened and it does not define who we are. Somebody will come and tell you, you are a failure, you failed. So, oh, that's your perception. I learned how not to do it this way, and I'm willing to learn how to do it better. The moment that happens, you have unlearned it. And the fact that you can unlearn the thoughts and the process and the patterns, you become a better individual. So for me, failure is just an event that happens. It is not the individual, it's not the person. So the moment you dissociate both, that's where your growth starts from.
Thank you very much. And one important thing about the word failure or the event failure, you only fail if you have refused to learn the lesson that comes from it. Because if you learn the lesson, what they call experience is also part of the journey. So let's look at it in that perspective. Thank you very much for that great insight. And looking at our topic from the perspective of success, leadership, and relationship, what does, can success sometimes create habits that we can say could become dangerous to our continued growth? That is, because we are successful now, sometimes some habits now become dangerous to the continuity of our growth.
Oh, yes, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And it also depends on how you define success for yourself. Some people define success as wealth. Some define success as money. Some define success as education, as growth, as promotion. Depends on what you define success as. But the difference there is this, right? When it depends on how you define your success, that will determine how you carry yourself as an individual and when it becomes negative for you, right? So I just lost a chain of thoughts. Could you just rephrase the question? I lost a chain of thoughts
Oh,
just now.
okay. I said, can success sometimes create habits that become dangerous to our continued growth?
Oh yes, yes. The success, it can create habits that become dangerous. Like I was mentioning, right? Once it depends on your chosen area of growth or how you define success. It becomes dangerous and negative depending on your individuality, who you are as a person, how you read situations, and at the same time how you define success. First question I'd like to ask is, what is enough? Everybody wants to be successful, but they don't define what is enough. So I would like to ask that question, right? What is enough? When you're success, what's your idea of success and what is enough for you in that context? Most people don't get this definition right. So once you don't know what is enough for you, you will not know when to stop. And if success is excessive, it becomes dangerous and negative to the individual. They usually say this, right? Put money in a man's pocket, put power in his pocket, you see the true color of who he is. And I'll define money and power, let me say wealth and power, as success indicators in our society today. When you put two in the person's pockets, it just embellishes who they are. So it becomes negative when your foundation as an individual is not grounded. Are you a good person? Are you a nice person? What is your base of operation? Do you have humanity in you? Are you kind? Do you love people? Are you selfless? Are you grateful for what you have? Or is your fundamental foundation about greed, about hatred, about competition, about oppression? So once you don't know your enough in quotes, it gets to a point whereby it becomes negative, it becomes harmful, and the habits that you have gained over time embellishes itself, and you do not understand that this is who you are. Your friends will tell you, your colleagues will tell you, those around you will tell you, brother, sister, madam, sir, you are changing. If you are lucky, they will tell you, but you will not realize it if your foundation is wrong. So yes, certain habits, right, come out when people are successful, and it's quite sad. So I always say this, right? For every leader, true leaders, every executive needs to have a coach, not as a situation of, oh, help me. No, is to fine tune you, to help you find those areas, to identify those habits and behaviors that will be negative to yourself, to your family, to your career, and help you walk through it so that you become a rounded individual. So, in order to avoid this, it's always better to watch yourself and also understand what enough is when it comes to success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, that has spoken to one of our questions that talks about when you constantly get yourself busy and you think it's becoming like a badge of honor. You have to know when enough is enough and when it's becoming a dangerous sign for you. So I think that is well uh, stated in that response. Thank you very much. So, what should leaders unlearn about control?
Wow, this is another interesting one. And I love the question. What leaders should learn about control?
Yeah.
You know, when you hold on to control, they say let me put it this way, what you focus on grows, what you focus on enlarges. When you focus on control, that means you don't have control. I take it again. When you focus on control, you don't have control because you are scared of losing it. So you are holding on to it in the worst ways. You want to go on leave, you're an employee or you're a worker, you want to go on leave, you're afraid to go on leave because you don't want your subordinates, or rather, you don't want your employee to, have the power to take certain decisions. Or your incompetence will show the moment you leave. So you don't want to delegate.
Mm.
Now it comes back to the basic things. At home, let's start from the family unit. A father that comes to the house and tells you, I am the man of the house. I am the father, I'm the one that takes all the decisions. He has lost control. Because why do you have to restate your position? You don't have to. Like a friend will tell you, or a friend will tell me, he says that when you want to hand out letters, you know, retrenchment letters, do you go and tell somebody that today's your last day of work, get out of this place, I don't ever want to see you again, leave, security escort the person? And then the second person that comes and says, oh, sorry, we had a nice run, but today may be your last day, have your letter. Question is, what is the difference? Nothing. One got his respect and dignity. The other person created an enemy in the process. Same thing. Do you need to fight for control for people to know you are in control? There are some people, when they step into the room, you will know that this is the number one person. And there are some people, when they step into the room, you will never even know, right? So imagine somebody, let's not, I don't want to use this context, but let's put it this way. Control, for me, is a situation of, or that seeking or holding on to control for me is a sign of weakness. It's a serious sign of weakness. I don't know your place. If you know your place, you know your position, you have done your groundwork, as a leader, you will not look for control. And that is something we need to unlearn. Unlearn the fact that your decision must be the final and it must be the last. No. In a situation whereby you have great people within your team, it's not about the control of you are the one that has all the say, you know every single thing. Your team members will have better ideas. But if they know, and this is very sad, if they know that you're the kind of person that always wants control, what happens is they will allow you fail. They'll keep quiet. Say, it's your decision, go ahead and take it. And when it happens, that's you just understand when they just say, oh, it's not me. You said we should do this. You said this. He said, you said, she said. Nobody will take responsibility. So in order to get the best out of your teammates and to get the best for yourself and feedback, always learn to delegate control to other people. Don't hold on to it. The more you hold on to it, you will lose it. And the more you hold on to it, you're showing everybody that you are not in control. All right. And I'll close with this. In certain teams, you realize that the leader is not the leader. All right. You may have a team of 10 people. One person is heading the whole 10. But within the remaining 9, there's one person that the other 8 defer to. So some leaders come into such teams and they want to laud themselves upon the team. But intelligent leaders come and examine everybody and check who has the strengths, where are the weaknesses, where are the gaps. And then they cede to the person that has influence. So when the person speaks, everybody follows. It has happened repeatedly, but most people that are blinded by power and corrupted by their insatiable appetite and their egos lose this significant learning that they could have actually used to get the best out of their teams. So thank you very much. So let's not hold on to control. It's a sign of weakness.
Thank you very much. That is well said. I wish we can continue that. We've faced one of the challenges of the show, that you are just enjoying yourself and you lose sight of the time. You've really share more insights. I wish we can continue, but I will not let you go without asking this question. Maybe in 30 seconds, if you could ask every ambitious person watching us this evening to unlearn just 3 things, what would they be and why?
Wow. First thing I would say
In
is,
a short.
okay, I'll try and keep it short, yes. Unlearn to unlearn unlearning, right? Then I'll also, sorry, I meant unlearn learning. Because there are some
Yes.
times whereby you think what you have learned is what is helping you. You need to unlearn learning. Then secondly, another thing that I also like to say is you need to know when your cup is full. You need to know when your cup is full so that I can decant and then refill. Decant and then refill. And then the third thing I'd like to add, right, is to get the best out of, and for the purpose of this program, is this: learn to be original, unlearn to please society, and learn to be original, learn to be yourself wherever you are. such that wherever if you're woken up in the middle of the night, you know who you are. You go to the public, you know who you are. Wherever you find yourself, you know who you are. So I'll say that unlearn the learnings you have had in the past that is not paying you, all right? Unlearn to please people and be original with yourself. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be
Thank,
here.
thank you very much. What an insightful and wonderfully revealing responses we've had from you this evening, our special guest. And thank you. That last answer gives us a lot to think about. But I want us to go a little deeper. Sometimes we hold on to old beliefs because they are familiar. Sometimes they are connected to our identity. And sometimes we are afraid that if we stop doing what made us successful, we may lose that success. So let me ask this: how can someone change without losing the values that made them successful? Just 5 seconds if you can.
Be deep in your values, be deep in your beliefs, because these things don't change. If you can identify your core values, you identify your core beliefs, regardless of when you're 10, you're 50, you're 100, they will always be with you. So identify your values, identify your beliefs that resonate with you. And most importantly, if I may add again, is be human. Add humanity in everything you do. Be human.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think one of the powerful lessons emerging from this conversation is that growth is not always about adding. Sometimes growth is about removing assumptions, removing unnecessary pressure,
Oh, yeah.
removing habits that have become counterproductive, removing the need to prove something to everybody, and sometimes removing the fear of becoming a different version of yourself. And for our key takeaways, so many things our guests have shared with us. Success requires continuous evolution. You work yesterday, what worked yesterday may not necessarily work tomorrow. Hard work is important, but working intelligently, smartly matters too. Being busy is not the same as being productive. You don't have to do everything yourself. Delegation is important, collaboration and trust are signs of growth, not weakness. You don't have to be liked by everybody. We really said a lot about that. Sometimes maturity requires choosing what is right or over what is popular. Failure is not necessarily the opposite of success. It can be a part of learning and refining process for us. Success is not only about what you accumulate, it is also about who you become, and your next level may require letting go. Sometimes the question is not what else should I learn? It is what must I stop believing? What must I stop doing? And what must I stop carrying with me or carrying on? Rahim, thank you once again. You've done so much. Great insight, conversation, insightful conversation. I believe our audience has received much more than a discussion about success today. We have been reminded that personal growth requires courage, the courage to question ourselves, the courage to change, the courage to admit that something that once worked for us may no longer be working. And perhaps most importantly, the courage to understand that unlearning is not losing knowledge, it is creating room for better knowledge, better choices, and better versions of ourselves. To everyone watching us tonight, I leave you with three questions. What are you still holding on to that no longer serves you? What belief about successes do you need to reconsider? And perhaps the most important question, what do you need to unlearn to become who you are capable of becoming? Thank you
Yeah.
all for joining us today. Thank you for our wonderful guests. We cannot thank you enough for sharing wisdom, experience, and perspective, great ones with us. Remember, Success is not simply about becoming more. Sometimes it is about becoming lighter, letting go of outdated beliefs, releasing unnecessary pressure, and changing old patterns and making room for growth. And while we were at this discussion, people that joined us that I was able to catch their name, we have Dozie Emmanuel, Bayo Banjo, Yekini Kolawole, Ramatu Ibrahim from Kaduna, Grace, I didn't get the surname, as Dr. Aseyin from Abuja, Taiwo Ojo, those are regulars from Abuja. So, my sister Shola Odugua, nice to see you. Wendy Garuba Ayeni, also my sister, thank you for joining us. A whole lot of others that have not been able to catch up your name, please forgive me. You are all recognized nonetheless. Thank you for joining and continuing supporting this program. To
I'll add,
a special thank you once again to our guests. I want to say we've had a nice time this evening and a great practical insight on the topic. And on behalf of our production team, I say a big thank you to you, Rahim. Until
yes,
our
thank
next
you.
conversation, keep learning, keep growing, and every now and then have the courage to ask yourself, what do I need to unlearn? Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful evening.
I'll
And
add something
remember,
though.
your next level may be waiting on the other side. You said what?
Yeah, just something right before you take your final words, which is on this
It's
topic of
okay, a
unlearning, which
second
is
because we
this.
are
Yeah,
already
no
above
second.
the time. Okay.
Exactly. You're a clear example. An ambassador and a doctor. You're a clear example of unlearning for successful people. And it's good for everybody to understand that. I saw a lot of my community members in the as have joined in, but you suit the topic and you're a clear example on learning and also going with the time and being original yourself. So thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you. God bless you. So your next level, like I was saying, may be waiting on the other side of something you need to let go of. I wish you a very peaceful night rest, a blessed new week. May God bless you until we meet next time. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.